Hello! Today we'll be introducing the design of character controllers in the open source project I've been working on for the past 2 years. Throughout this video, I'll be using some samples from my project like the one shown now, as well as clips from other games to discuss character controllers. You can try out this project for yourself in your web browser at the link in the description. There's also a link to the open source project in the description if you want to read up on how it works on your own. This is the first video in the series discussing the character controller project. The design of character controllers often goes unnoticed as most players don't think much about how their button presses translate into movement in a game. But for many games, developers spend a significant portion of their time working on this attribute. It's essential that when I hit a button, my input corresponds to something my character does in the game and feels right. A well-designed character controller is essential to maintaining strong gameplay flow. When the character moves unpredictably, it can quickly break immersion in the game and be quite frustrating to the player. There are many aspects of game design that help manage this, but before we delve into this further, we need to define what character controllers are in games and what makes them feel good. As the name implies, a character controller is how a character will move around and interact with the game. In any game where you control a character that needs to navigate a virtual space, there is some code called a character controller that determines how a player's avatar moves around the scene. Different games require different designs of character controllers, and sometimes how a character controller operates can define a game. Many games will start off by designing and iterating upon a character controller as a foundation, and then building the rest of the game from there. There are a few key responsibilities of a character controller. 1. Moving the player. 2. Interacting with the environment. And 3. Setting a tone. The first point is simple. The character controller needs to move the avatar based on player input. The second is slightly more nuanced and may include things like not clipping through the floor, pushing objects, and interacting with controls. It is important that this includes both how your character affects the environment around them and how the environment around affects your player. The third, setting a tone, is the most difficult to get right. How a player moves through a scene strongly influences almost every aspect of how a player experiences gameplay. The running and jumping of platformers like the Mario games encourage a player to thoughtfully navigate a stage at a pace that feels comfortable and rewarding. Mario games also encourage players that finish faster have higher scores. A first-person shooter such as Doom encourages non-stop movement and quick-paced action, running through enemy-infested hellscapes with your guns blazing. Both games allow a player to navigate a virtual scene but feel wildly different to play. Fast responsive actions for quick decisions help make games like Celeste feel precise and rewarding while developing a sense of mastery. This contrasts with the more relaxed pace of a game like Animal Crossing where the player slowly meanders through your town. Something as simple as changing how fast a player falls will affect the amount of tension a player feels, whether they slowly descend to the ground or rapidly drop down. The different kinds of actions a player can take, such as running, jumping, or diving, allows for a wide range of movement options in a game. For example, many stealth games will allow for a sneaking action where a character will move slower but be more difficult to detect by enemies, something that wouldn't be necessary for a fast-paced shooter like Doom but is critical to building tension and making a player feel sneaky in games like Assassin's Creed. Additionally, how the environment interacts with your character is also important to establishing a tone. Does a character push and grab objects from the scene, such as in Katamari where you build a larger and larger ball that bounces off walls and objects as they move? Or is the environment more static, save for a few interactable areas such as Portal? The physics of the character controller and how they interact with the environment around them is also key to establish a proper tone. Now that we know the basics of what a character controller should do, I would like to introduce you to my project, the Open Kinematic Character Controller, or Open KCC for short. The word kinematic describes the kind of physics object that the player is, which I will discuss in a future video. Over the next few months, I will be releasing a series of videos discussing features and updates to the OpenKCC project. Some of these features for the OpenKCC include sliding-based movement, ground detection, first and third-person camera, following moving platforms, shoving player with boxes, and of course shoving boxes with the player animations, knocking players prone, multiplayer support, as well as more features are planned such as changing gravity, slippery floors, and multiple jumps. I'll be making more videos explaining examples of the feature in other games, as well as going over the implementation in the OpenKCC project. I will also go over the game design concepts associated with the feature like in this video. If this kind of content interests you, subscribe to be notified when future videos are released. The code is open source, and I appreciate any feedback you can give. Again, the demo website and GitHub project are linked in the description if you want to check it out. The list of the video games that were used in the video appear in the description in the order in which they appear. If you are interested in learning more about those games, let me know what you think in the comments below. I know I mentioned the code is open source before. This means that if you want, you can submit a code change, open an issue for an error, or submit a feature request. If you add something interesting, I would love to highlight this in a future video topic. I recently copied this code that was quite tangled into my other project, so the code might be a little messy now. I'll try to clean it up more in the future and had to disable the networking features to support the quick demo I made for this video. I also want to say thanks to my friend Jordan, who's been working with me over the past few months and who prompted me to start making videos on this YouTube channel. He's working on a fantasy novel, and as you know, there tends to be a bit of overlap between people that like fantasy books and people who like video games. I included a link to his blog in the description, and if you find that stuff interesting, feel free to check out his work as well. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day!